All right, welcome back. Today we're at the Coastal Plain Branch Experiment Station in Newton, Mississippi, and we've got several topics that I wanted to discuss today. Last time we talked a little bit about grazing management. Today we're going to kind of shift focus to some hay management, hay production. We'll kind of go from establishment to fertility management, kind of in a first year establishment type of production. And oftentimes I get a lot of calls in terms of what variety do I need to plant, what species do I need to plant in terms of a hay crop. And what you're looking at here today is a seeded perennial grass hay trowel. And so we've got Bahia grass varieties, we've got Bermuda grass varieties, and from a hay standpoint, oftentimes our hybrid Bermuda grass is the ones that are established by rhizome or by stolon, typically are a little bit higher in quality, but a lot of folks usually balk at the price when it comes to getting those established, and so oftentimes they resort to planting seeded varieties. And so this trial hopefully will do a good job at kind of mimicking some of the varieties of choice that they might choose, and then also some of the fertility treatments that they'll be applying. And so you can still, if you get down here in the crown, you can obviously tell that this was established, I think it was around the first week of June, last week of May. But you can still see the rows. The sod hadn't necessarily gapped or fully established into the crown. And you can definitely see in the Bahia grass varieties, you can see the rows. But this was planted, like I said, in the last week of May, I think, and we've gotten, we took our first harvest off of this last week, and so we've got a good 60 days of growth from the time we established it to the time we actually made our first cutting in that first year. And oftentimes when we recommend establishing these perennial grasses, we hope to get one cutting off of it from a hay crop standpoint, but this year it looks like we might be able to get two, potentially three, just because of the amount of rainfall that we've gotten. Just another couple things to consider when you're planting some of these small seeded perennial grasses. Planting depth is crucial. A lot of times guys like to use drills, heavy equipment, which is good. It allows you to cover acreage really fast, but it also inevitably leads to planting that seed too deep. And usually when we plant these small seeded perennial crops, you know, 1/4 of an inch to less. Usually when we run behind the drill, we like to see about 1/3 of that seed kind of scattered on top of the seed bank. That kind of lets us know that the rest of that seed, the other 2/3, is just underneath that soil surface. In terms of planting rates, Bahia grass is usually around that 20 pound of seed per acre mark. Bermuda grass varieties from a seeded standpoint are around 10 pounds of seed per acre. But one thing you've got to consider is seed coatings. Most of the time your Bahia grass varieties are pure seed, but your Bermuda grass usually comes with a seed coating. So anywhere from 40 to 60% of that bag could be in that coating. So you have to account for that in your seeding rates. I guess in terms of fertility management, so we've got our variety differences that are out here, but we've also got 8 fertility treatments that we're looking at in this trial. Those range from just general triple 13 applications. We've got 2 poultry litter applications. We've got several combinations of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But one thing that you've got to consider, regardless of the type of material that you're using or the strategy that you're trying to implement on your hay production, is nutrient removal. When it comes to Bahia grass and Bermuda grass, you're removing anywhere from about 35 pounds per acre of nitrogen in Bahia grass, all the way up to about 50 to 55 pounds of nitrogen per acre. Sorry, not per acre, but per ton in Bermuda grass. And so when you think about removing, say, 2 tons of Bermuda grass, you're looking at removing about 100 pounds of nitrogen. And so if you're looking at multiple cuttings a year, you need to manage your nitrogen in a way that you're replenishing the amount that you're actually putting in the field. Another element that's key from a fertility management standpoint, the hay production system, is potash. A lot of folks are really good about reapplying nitrogen, but in Bermuda grass especially, you're removing almost just as much potash as you or potassium as you are in nitrogen. And so we try to make the recommendation whenever you're reapplying nutrients, make sure that you're reapplying potash as well. Potash is very important in terms of disease resistance, winter hardiness, making those plants a little bit more tough and rigorous against pest damage. So we have to really make sure that we're not only reapplying nitrogen, but also potash. Another two of those treatments in this trial are poultry litter applications in this area of the state. Use a lot of poultry litter. Oftentimes, some of our producers are applying litter based on the nitrogen demands in that crop, and when you think about the nitrogen that's in poultry litter, it's in most of the time it's in an organic standpoint, and so it has to be mineralized in order for that crop to bring it up. And so when you're applying poultry litter to a hayfield, a lot of the times that nitrogen is not going to be immediately available to that first cutting or second cutting. It'll be that third or fourth or maybe subsequent years before that nitrogen is actually mineralized into a plant available form to where it can be taken up. So oftentimes we recommend using poultry litter based on a potassium or maybe even a phosphorus standpoint based on your soil test. But from a nitrogen standpoint, a lot of times we'll supplement that poultry litter with an inorganic source of nitrogen to kind of complement the organic source that you're getting from the litter. And so this trial kind of encompasses not only seeded varieties that are commonly used from an establishment phase, but also about 8 different combinations of commonly recommended or commonly utilized fertility treatments. And so what we'll do is we'll actually take harvest from this trial, we'll measure yield from these trials, we'll measure forage quality, and then at the end of it we'll do an economic analysis that goes from establishment throughout, that incorporates seed costs, fertility applications, herbicide applications, insecticide applications, whatever we apply to these plots, and basically do a uniform full spectrum economic analysis that kind of depicts what you can expect from establishment to the first or second year of a hay crop from these perennial seeded varieties.